America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. A lot to cover today. I'm glad you're here. I think Erica Kirk is a remarkable young lady. You've seen a lot of her on Fox, promoting Charlie's last book. And if she doesn't promote it, nobody does, so that's very important. But I'll tell you what's really bothering me, America. These people who are trashing her on the left and these neo-fascists on the right. These people are evil. Absolutely contemptible. For Tucker Carlson to do what looked like a 5-minute hostage film, this flabby little frat boy who grew up with enormous wealth. His father married an heir to the Swanson frozen food family. He went to private schools, boarding school. All he does is trash our country, whine about our country. Our country sucks. Our government sucks. Our economy sucks. Meanwhile, this guy has a massive home somewhere in Maine, a massive home somewhere in Florida, and now he's going to have a home in Qatar, although he left Qatar very quickly after he made a complete ass out of himself. Trashing our country, trashing our way of life, trashing our allies. He's a contemptible buffoon. But he puts out this video where he does his usual statement, evil, vile, libelous statement, and then he pretends he doesn't make the statement. And everybody's on to him now. Everybody knows he's a phony and a fraud. If I were saying, but I'm not saying, and I have friends on both sides, but then again, and what is this guy? He's no governor on his mouth either. He's a putz. That's it. Evil, hateful, nasty, spoiled little brat. That's the way, apparently, it's been for a long time. He's a media creation. He's done literally nothing. Think about it. Literally nothing. Not a great lawyer, not a great surgeon, not even an adequate or average plumber or electrician. He contributed nothing to America. Nothing. But he continues to trash America. He's on a warpath against Christians, particularly pastors who actually preach the gospel. He hates Jews. That's very obvious now. He's sort of the Pat Buchanan of the modern age, or worse. He trashes the greatest generation. We platforms these Hitlerites. He rewrites history like Marxists, condemning Churchill and Britain, which were defending themselves and their allies. I mean, how sick can you be? They use Saul Alinsky tactics, try to viciously destroy anybody who disagrees with them. Anybody. Usually attacking their race, their religion, their ethnicity. You know, we know what Nick Fuentes is. Nick Fuentes is a Klansman in a funeral suit. That's what he is. Nothing smart about the guy, nothing new about the guy. Massive amounts of people listen to his program from overseas, particularly Muslim countries. He's a grifter. That's how he makes his money. Another asswipe. But Carlson was born with a platinum spoon in his mouth. He was handed everything. He's still handed everything. He has billionaires financing him. He's got people with links to Qatar, if not directly, indirectly. He's Qatar's favorite lapdog. Not even a close second out there. He's Qatar's favorite lapdog. The same Qatar that was involved in the murder of 3,000 Americans and others on 9/11. The same Qatar that supported the Taliban, the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas. The same Qatar that enslaves tens of thousands of people. Who is this fool, this moron? Has he said something intelligent? No. Has he written something intelligent? No. Has he done anything useful? No. He's a concoction. A concoction. Laughing all the way to the bank. That would be the Bank of Qatar. He's a hideous person. That video that he did with respect to Erica Kirk was unbelievably loathsome. He can't come out and say, leave her alone, Candace. Leave her alone. Instead, he's got to spew the conspiracy theories. I don't know if they're true or not. I know they're not true. I know the Mossad did not play a role in Charlie Kirk's death. The FBI and the Utah police got their man, and he's on trial now. There's not some massive conspiracy involving a judge, a potential jury, prosecutors, defense lawyers, and everybody else. I mean, this isn't a tough one. The guy was caught red-handed. He's carving stuff into bullets. They've got his texts. His parents turned him over to the cops. I mean, if this isn't open and shut, then I've never seen open and shut. Of course, there'll be a trial. But why not just participate in, but gaslight the conspiracy theories? Everybody knows that Candace Owens is a psycho job. She's a head case. Everybody knows. She's an anti-Semitic pig. Everybody knows it. Her father-in-law knows it. I just assumed It didn't need a lot of explanation. Everybody knows that Steve Bannon was a crook, that he confessed to it, that he was ripping off maybe many of you to get money to build a wall that he was never going to build. He pled guilty to it. And he begged President Trump for a pardon at the federal level so he wouldn't be charged there. That's what he is. He's a crook. Everybody knows it, especially him. Everybody knows Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the dumbest people to ever serve in the House of Representatives. Everybody knows it. The left knows it. That's why they keep platforming her. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene, imbecile. And I can go down the list. Leave Erica Kirk alone. Leave her alone. She's a grieving widow. She's trying to do the very best that she can. I haven't talked to her. I don't know her that well. I did know Charlie quite well. When I would go to TPUSA events, and I haven't been invited there in 3 or 4 years, but I don't ask to be invited to anything. She was always with him. She loved him. She has children with him, young children who she needs to raise without their father. He was horrifically assassinated. Get off her back. Leave her alone. And don't put out your phony video, you little bastard, Carlson. We are playing all sides. All sides. Because this fool in the end, he failed as a journalist. He failed on TV. He now has this little niche that he's carved out. But that little niche requires him to attract as many psychopaths, as many unstable, bigots, racists, anti-Semites, anti-Christians, anti-Americans as possible. It requires him to attract as many foreign Islamists in Qatar, in Pakistan, all over the world as he possibly can. And his Saul Alinsky tactics against some of the most decent people you could ever know. Some of the most decent people you'll ever meet. They were working for a while. But then I decided enough is enough. I don't like bullies. I don't like bigots. I don't like racists. I don't like anti-Semites. I don't like individuals who grift off of our country while trashing and undermining our country. What's being done to Erica Kirk is nauseating. From the Marxist Islamist left and from the neo-fascist right. Sometimes, America, things are as they actually seem. Sometimes, America, facts actually are facts. Who benefits from these conspiracy theories? The slobs, the slugs, like Carlson, to attract more and more people. They have to. Unfortunately, for many podcasters and self-appointed phony influencers, you've got to keep hyping the preposterous. You got to keep hyping the most outrageous. That's what these people do. That's who they are. They're tearing this country apart. They're going to elect the Democrats in the midterm elections. They're going to elect a Democrat in 2028. And then they're going to blame all of you, Mr. and Mrs. America. Or they're going to blame Donald Trump. I see it already. They're certainly not going to blame themselves. And when Tarleton and his ilk tell you that they hate the Republican Party, they despise the Republican Party, that they're not going to vote Republican, they're already telling you what they're doing. Now, I want to ask you, Mr. and Mrs. America, I have the most patriotic audience in America. That's you. Do you think we're going to attract voters as constitutional conservatives? If we embrace racism, bigotry, misogyny, anti-Semitism, anti-Christianity, anti-Americanism, do you think? Is there a party in America that's ever run on those policies? Is that who you are? Is that who you want to be associated with? Do you literally want to pay for that? And subsidize that? This guy's laughing at you all the way to the bank. What do you think Rush Limbaugh would say today? He never liked Kit Tarleton in the first place. What do you think he'd say about him? Seriously, America, what do you think? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. I'm sure I'm not alone, not in this audience of red-blooded Americans. But I want to speak to the men for a moment. What do you think about some pissant trashing a widow like this? Is that okay by you? I'm asking the men in this audience. Is that okay by you? That some guy keeps gaslighting this stuff, trying to make money off this stuff, trying to get more eyes, more grift? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I know we red-blooded Americans, we men have not sunk this low. It's time to cut this guy off. It's time to be done with this guy. It's time to throw him out with the trash. Because that's what he is. He's trash. I'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
If you're trying to reach Mark on the air, call him at 877-381-3811. The Mark Levin Radio Show continues.
I meant to start the show a little differently, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Big announcement when I return from vacation after the Christmas holidays. And I'm very excited about it, and I think you will be too. So let's go through a few more of these men who signed your Constitution and made this country what it is today. Ever hear of Nathaniel Gorham? I doubt it. He's a delegate from Massachusetts. Gave up an apprenticeship to set up his own successful business. He embarked on an very active life in politics, was one of the most active attendees at the convention. He lost his fortune in 1790, the result of a failed land speculation deal in Massachusetts. A lot of these men lost everything in various ways. That's Nathaniel Gorham. Nicholas Gilman from New Hampshire. At the Constitutional Convention, he had a distinguished career in the military. Served throughout the Revolutionary War, reached the rank of captain in the Continental Army, and after the convention, he failed in his first bid to become a senator, but succeeded in 1804. This is very fascinating to me, and as the new year comes, we're going to spend a lot of time on American history, early history and beyond, because I really feel that if we're going to save this republic, if we're going to get our youth back, that we have to make really good use of these platforms. Not this other sick stuff that's being pushed out there. How about David Brearley? Brearley, Brearley, from New Jersey. From New Jersey. It's a prominent Freemason. Let's see here. He served in the Revolutionary War as a captain, then a colonel, going on to a career as a judge after the war. At the convention, he opposed proportional representation in Congress. William Livingston, actually, many people may well know about William Livingston. Although his family wanted him to pursue a career as a businessman, he chose the law. With a great success thanks to his skills as a writer. Tiring of the legal practice, he had semi-retired to the life of a gentleman farmer and a poet by 1771. You've heard of Alexander Hamilton, but I want to focus on those you've not heard of. Richard Dobbs Speight of North Carolina, a signer of the Constitution of the United States. Orphaned at the age of 8, he was sent to Ireland for his education and returned to America in 1778, whereupon he jumped into the Revolutionary War as a member of the state militia of North Carolina. He attended every session of the Constitutional Convention. So we'll stop it there. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. We're just going through some of these names just to create some, interest and motivation. You, of course, are free to dig in yourself, but it really is fascinating to do this. These men who had so much to do with our founding and the nature of your lifestyle and how you live. Very, very important. One of the things I want to focus on now is an article here. The headline in the Telegraph: China would destroy U.S. military and fight over Taiwan, top secret document warns. Now look, Yesterday afternoon, I was in Washington, D.C. I don't like going to Washington, D.C., but it's the second time in 2 weeks, and I'll be going next week to the White House. But I'm at this event, invited by the Jerusalem Post to speak for 10 or 12 minutes, which I did. But also there was a guy by the name of Thomas Barrett. He's the envoy to Syria. I believe he's the ambassador to Turkey. He also works with Lebanon, and he is absolutely awful. And to hear him speak about his ideas for the plan in the Middle East, so preposterous. And at the middle of it was Israel. Israel won't get along with Syria. Israel won't get along with Turkey. Israel won't get along with Lebanon. Israel. I'm going, what is with this guy? They need to create a situation where there's not so much war with Israel and its ally. And I thought to myself, every single war that Israel's been forced to fight has been a defensive war, even in 1967, as they were being surrounded by the Arab countries. They launched an attack against them in the 1967 Six-Day War. And because of the defensive posture, they didn't want to wait to be attacked, tiny little country. And I was listening to this guy, and I was stunned. I could tell he was bad by public comments that are published that he makes, but I was literally stunned. The idea that Turkey will be part of this international military force in Gaza is outrageous. Erdogan is an Islamist. Erdogan has destroyed Turkey. Erdogan is a backer of Hamas. Erdogan gave safe haven to a number of the leaders of Hamas, just like Qatar. Erdogan talks about the elimination of Israel. Erdogan makes some of the most outrageous speeches. And I'm thinking to myself, is this what the envoy's promoting? Surely the administration won't agree to something like that. Because what would that mean? That would mean, Mr. Producer and Mr. and Mrs. America, that Turkey would be handed a military foothold in Gaza, right on the border with Israel. Right, Mr. Producer? In addition to Turkey working with Syria, Turkey would have a military presence in Syria, which it doesn't now, a military foothold, a significant presence in Gaza, which it doesn't right now. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? What is that? Surely the commander-in-chief won't go for that. And I pointed out yesterday that the most important, obviously, and yet the smartest voice, the most pro-American, pro-Israel voice when it comes to that part of the world in the administration is the president himself. The president himself. The guy also said in an interview in Qatar last week that Israel basically likes to think it's a democracy. And monarchy probably is better fit for that part of the world. Now, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not one of these Bush guys who believes that democracy, parliamentary democracy, constitutional democracy, whatever you want to call it, works in the Islamist world. I believe I'm the one who has told you that Islamism and Americanism are utterly incompatible, right? Who's been saying that for years? Me. Who's been explaining it for years? Me. And you know why if you've listened to this program. But the idea, and he's up there and he's going round and round about, well, you know, it's the democracy, but this and that. And so I got up there and I said, I don't need 1,000 words to tell you that, yes, Israel is a democracy. So I'm thinking, this guy, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. But I was stunned, and I'm not the only one who was stunned. I think most of the audience there was like, what? I know that you can't have all allies. You have representative republics or parliaments, and I'm well aware of this. We're all well aware of it. We're not stupid. But there are strengths and weaknesses, and certainly you don't open the door to Turkey to send its army into Gaza on the border with Israel. You don't give Turkey F-35s. We've already given it to Saudi Arabia. F-35s are not chocolate to be handed out. It's the most cutting-edge technology, period, second to none. And we won't have control over it if one of these countries decides they want to share it with somebody else, or somebody within that country wants to decides they want to share it with somebody else. But I literally couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought, maybe I'm in the wrong meeting here. Is this, what is this? Did I walk into the Students for Justice in Palestine meeting on Capitol Hill? What happened here? All right, I've got more to this point about why I raised this, and I want to get into China. Oh, I'll point out how they're related in a moment. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. There's a piece in the Telegraph that reports on a top secret document. So what I'm telling you has already been made public today, so I'm not breaking anything. Not that I would. And the nub of the matter is this. Communist China would destroy the U.S. military in a fight over Taiwan. We would be sending our major aircraft carriers there, and they can blow them out of the water within minutes. Within minutes. How, Mr. Producer? What would they use? What did the Iranians shoot at the Israelis? Those massive missiles. The same thing. Because the Chinese are basically, and have basically provided all that technology and fuel to the Iranians. Ballistic missiles, the size of a bus, by the hundreds. Fired at our aircraft carriers, they cannot possibly knock them all out. That's the state of play. That's why we need to focus on very serious matters rather than be distracted. Distracted by the morons and the shiny objects. And not just the Catarlsons, but the left, the media, who try to create controversy and scandal out of everything that's normal and regular. Now, what I just told you should shake you. That they could blow our aircraft carriers out of the water with their ballistic missile system. That is a secret document. Has anybody mentioned this to you today? Nobody. It's not on any of the news programs. It's not on conservative talk radio. The podcasters are very, very busy, trashing the United States. But I'm telling you something that's very important. Very important. I think we just made a trade deal with China, and they got some kind of cutting-edge technology. I don't know what it is. I believe it related to some types of chips of some kind. I wouldn't be making those deals with China. That's just me. I'm not a deal maker, though. I absolutely would not. But I don't think we are, as a people, psychologically prepared for any of this. Because we have a very weak ruling class. As I call it, the imperial ruling class. That is mesmerized by monarchies. We have a Democrat Party that literally hates this country. Literally hates this country. Not Democrats out in the audience. I'm talking about a party, an infrastructure, an ideology that hates the country. You get the Mondanis, and you get the Bernie Sanders, and the AOCs, and the Tlaibs, and the Omars. They hate us. They hate the country. That's not me saying it. They've said it. I'm just telling you what they've said in so many words. We are not prepared psychologically, technologically. We are not. The 250th anniversary of our country. And by that, what is meant is 1776, July 4th, the Declaration of Independence, when we declared our independence. The fact of the matter is the Revolutionary War actually began before that. It began in Boston, spread to New York, spread further to Philadelphia. They were great, great patriots. We together are going to learn more and more about them. I'm going to make sure of it on this platform and the new platform that I'll be working on. Oops. You get the point. And even with my Fox show, I said to my wife, I said to my crew, I've got to inform the American people, particularly young people, about the greatness of this country, the greatness of our founding, the great heroes who created what we are living. Because if I don't do it, it's not going to be done. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Just to pick up briefly on what I was discussing about communist China and these missiles. Israel is head and shoulders over every other country on the face of the earth in defensive missile systems. despite some of the braggadocio of some of the Western countries, the fact is they're going to have to rely on the state of Israel. Israel's already said that everything it has it will give to the United States for free, its technology and so forth. But as I've talked to you over the course of a year or two, they've also been developing, I've been watching this in the news over there, the most advanced laser systems on the face of the earth. Now, the Japanese have been working on a system. We've been working on a system. Unfortunately, we're behind. But, you know, when you're a little country and your back's against the wall and you have a whole lot of brilliant scientists and engineers and so forth, you've got to systems that are head and shoulders above others. You've got to outthink and outmaneuver, because you can't win by the numbers. You got to win by smarts. Their laser systems are far advanced beyond anybody else's. They're now starting to deploy them in the field, not just to test them, but to actually use them. They had to figure out how to maintain the kind of concentration of light over a relatively distant target. Why? Because the concentration of the light diminishes over time. And so as I've been reading about this, I've been reading about the Japanese system too, which is actually quite brilliant as well. But this system seems to be the way to go that the Israelis have been working on for quite some time. Rather than just have one light force that diminishes, what they've decided to do, and what they have done, is thousands of repeat light forces. So in other words, you fire off one, you fire off another, you fire off another, you just boom, 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 like a Gatling gun, but faster. And so the light beams kind of build upon the other light beams, or they travel with the other light beams, ride the other light beams. And look, I'm no scientist, you know that, but they have been perfecting this. And so rather than spend $500,000 or $1 million on a missile to knock out a drone, this kind of technology would be able to knock out a drone for about $15, Mr. Producer. And can knock out swarms of drones, as you can imagine. Just use your imaginations and think what you can do with a laser beam, particularly if you have several of them that are installed. So the genius there is that they will continue to perfect the technology, perfect it, and perfect it. I'm bringing this up because when the Israelis develop these things, they give them to us to use to protect us. A lot of the upgrades on a lot of jets that they buy from us, they share them with us, and we institute or install them in our jets. A lot of the intelligence processes that they use, the software processes that they use, because they have to be in front of everything in order to protect themselves, they give to us and share with us. And they will give us and share this with us too. The sooner this is developed and the technology gets better and better and better, the more important, because I was just telling you about this secret report that this British newspaper had about how the communist Chinese will defeat us quickly and our aircraft carriers with their ballistic missile system, and that we will not have the capacity to stop all of their missiles. We're talking about ballistic missiles. So these are missiles, they go up in space and then come back down, and it's just much more difficult, and they go enormously fast. And given the number of them that the communist Chinese have, many will get through. And so what I'm saying is this laser system and technology is further developed. That would be very, very important, don't you think, Mr. Producer? To put them on the carriers, to put them on our jets, our bombers, and so forth and so on. That's what's important. And this is already, the Israelis are putting this out in the field, not just to test, but to use as necessary. And you know, when you first use these things, they're quite imperfect. But you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn and you perfect and you perfect and you perfect. And that's what they're doing. Which is very, very important to us. And certainly very important to them. Kristi Noem was giving testimony today. You know, there was a report out there, it's always anonymous sources, of course, that the president wanted to get rid of her and replace her with the soon-to-be ex-governor of Virginia. And I thought to myself, Kristi Noem's been a fantastic secretary. Am I missing something, Mr. Producer? She's solid as a rock. She shut down that damn border. She's done a fantastic job. Well, it turns out, of course, it's absolutely fake news. President of the United States gave his full-hearted support to her and to Hegseth. But there are people there, somewhere, who are trying to sabotage the president. Otherwise, what's going on here, folks? In my view, trying to sabotage the president. And so she's at a hearing today, and the Democrats are loathsome. They're attack dogs. They're attacking him. And they're attacking her. Benny Thompson, you're familiar with him. He was head of the January 6th committee. This guy is a real jackass. Listen to this exchange. Cut one, go.
Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist attack.
Wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation, but you blamed it solely on Joe Biden. I want you to know who approved the asylum application for this same person.
Mr. Thompson, this individual that came into the country.
No, I want to know who approved.
Congressman Thompson, I want you to understand when this individual came into the country, he came under evacuation of Afghanistan under Operation Allies Welcome, was thoroughly vetted by the Biden administration at that point in time, allowed into our country, and then was never followed up.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunate accident, ladies and gentlemen. The deceased National Guardsman, this wonderful young lady, was shot in the back of the head. She was 20 years old. A 24-year-old National Guardsman who was serving right next to her. He was shot at point-blank range, too. And he is still fighting for his life, even though there seems to be pretty good progress there. By an Islamist. And this is the best this guy can do. I'm telling you, it's just, it's nuts. Cut two, go.
At the same time, we as a country are still dealing with the mistakes, the errors, and the willful disregard of the last administration. For 4 years, the Biden administration allowed millions of people to come into our country illegally. Millions more in our country were exploited and were brought in under parole programs without even basic vetting. As a result, we've seen terrorist attacks and heinous crimes committed against American children and families by criminal illegal aliens and violent perpetrators who should have never been allowed into this country in the first place. Transnational organized crime groups, including Mexico's Sinaloa, New Generation Jalisco, and other drug cartels, they cause chaos and they harm American interests. Our critical infrastructure faces a perilous landscape, largely driven by the impact of cyber attacks from bad actors and cyber criminals. American citizens are increasingly under threat from assassination attempts, intimidation tactics, and violence perpetuated by our adversaries, radical Islamic extremists and domestic extremists. These bad actors seek to undermine our public trust. They instill fear in Americans. They destabilize the institutions that safeguard our national security.
Mm-hmm. They didn't even blink. Didn't matter to them in the least. Then you have somebody, Shiri Thaneter, who wants to impeach, I think it was the president or the war secretary. He's at the hearing today. This guy, I think he's got a wig or something's going on there. Anyway, go ahead.
You also asked about ICE agents going far enough. Sir, I will tell you that every single ICE agent, CBP agent, federal law enforcement officer that's out there doing their work every day, none of them will rest until our communities are safe. None of them will rest until
Secretary,
terrorists,
it is a fact that you ignored federal orders.
And our children and our grandchildren can grow up.
Let me reclaim my time here, please. Let me reclaim. Secretary Noem, it is a fact that you ignored federal court orders in March and in May of this year. Do you plan on ignoring more federal orders?
We always
I'm sick of your lies. And the American people demand the truth.
Because you keep saying it doesn't make it true.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies. American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security, if you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
Is she good or not, Mr. Producer? She's great. I got more of this. I want you to hear this. These people don't want the border secured. They don't want criminals deported. Period. And you can tell he's a fairly recent immigrant to the country. It's just so disgusting to me. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network, but this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this. All right. Representative LaMonica McIver. I know, we've not heard of most of these people, have we? So the Democrats really don't want information. They just want to play to their constituency, which is illegal immigrants. That's their main constituency now, America. And they're counting on birthright citizenship, chain migration. Give a damn what happens in this country. Not in the least. Cut 4, go.
The greatest threat to the homeland right now is a Department of Homeland Security that the American people no longer trust, a department actively undermined by its own secretary. This is on you, Secretary Noem. Today's hearing is supposed to be about worldwide threats, but Madam Secretary, under your watch, the threat is coming from inside the building. Because when DHS, the department charged with keeping Americans safe, is caught breaking the law, lying to the American public, systematically dismantling oversight, fueling bigotry, and targeting vulnerable communities, trust is broken.
Any question there? No. Any question there? No. Just a stupid speech. Democrats. You know, it really is amazing, the willingness of people to take these jobs. It really is. In many ways, it's thankless. I cannot think of a better Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security since its founding. I cannot, ladies and gentlemen. Just fantastic. And the things she has done and the things she's doing, obviously at the direction of the President of the United States. I mean, 0 illegal aliens coming in and so forth and so on. And this is the response of the Democrats who've created the massive disaster that we're still dealing with. These people should be ashamed of themselves. They should be coming to these hearings with paper bags over their head. LaMonica McIver, whoever the hell that is. And then you got this guy, Thanandar, going on about impeachment. I don't even know who he is. I don't know how long he's even been in the country. Maybe he was born in the country. I don't know. But it's a disgrace. Then you have Zoran Mamdani. This is the Democrat Party today. This is it. The mayor-elect of New York urging illegal aliens to break the law, urging illegal aliens to confront, even violently, I would argue, the NYPD, telling the NYPD they will stand down, that they're going to follow the policies of a sanctuary city, not of the United States of America. Cut 5, go.
Are you prepared to be arrested by the federal government if you stand up to their immigration enforcement?
I'm prepared for any consequence that comes for standing up for New Yorkers.
It means nothing to this guy. He's a drama queen. He wants to be arrested. Wants to show how courageous he is, you know. Go ahead.
Ran to do, and I think that it's time that New Yorkers look at City Hall that's right here and see a reflection of their struggles as opposed to a reflection of the scandal.
Struggles. We get struggles in America like this is some communist regime or fascist regime. This is nuts. Go ahead.
Politics.
I've also heard you say that no one is above the law and anyone can be held accountable, and that goes for the President of the United States and it also goes for ICE agents. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is there a scenario in which the NYPD under you could arrest ICE agents on the streets of New York for their behavior towards immigrants?
All right, let's stop a second. A city cannot arrest federal authorities. It's an impossibility, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot. It cannot arrest ICE agents, and it cannot tell the President of the United States what to do when it comes to immigration and deportation and so forth and so on. So it's like this slob, the governor of Illinois, does the same thing. We'll be right back. And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network. But this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this.
Defending the red, white, and blue. Join Mark Levin at 877-381-3811.
This show's flying again. We be flying. So we have this clown, and there are other clowns too, who want to impeach the President of the United States. We got this guy, Al Green. Remember that idiot? Tried to impeach the President several times. This is what they do. But 23 Democrats joined the Republicans to kill it. As Fox reports, a lone progressive's effort to impeach President Trump failed Thursday, with nearly 24 Democrats joining the House Republicans to quash it. Al Green moved to get a vote on 2 articles of impeachment via privilege motion, a mechanism allowing lawmakers to force action on a bill within 2 legislative days. This guy hasn't done another damn thing in his life. Republicans called for a vote to table the measure, a move that effectively kills consideration of the bill itself when a privilege resolution is called for. This all happened today. 23 Democrats joined Republicans in pushing the impeachment aside. A significant number of Democrats also voted present, including 3 of their leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, Minority Whip Kathleen Clark of Massachusetts, Democrat Caucus Chairman Pete Aguilar. Does anybody know why they did this? Do you think they did this out of the goodness of their hearts? No. They want to take the House, and then they want to impeach him. But before that, they want to hold hearings. They want to issue subpoenas. They want to have witnesses. If we don't hold the House, that's what's going to happen. And you can thank Tarleton and Bannon and Matt Gaetz, no pants. You can thank Owens. You can thank this whole crowd, among other things. Don't get me wrong. Among other things. The final vote was 237 no, 140 yes, with 47 present. Among the Democrats who voted to table the measure with the Republicans, Representative Tom Swayze of New York, Josh Riley of New York, Jerry Golden of Maine, Jimmy Panetta of California, I guess that's Panetta's son, Christy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, Sharice Davids of Kansas, Don Davis, North Carolina, Shamari Figures of Alabama. Green has filed articles of impeachment against Trump, I mean, really from day one. From day one. This guy's a lowlife. This impeachment stuff is just, it's out of control. By the way, Jasmine Crockett, Mr. Producer, you're pulling that audio together for us? Are you with me? Check your email. I found the audio of Jasmine Crockett. Okay, you got nothing. Well, we'll deal with it during the break then. Basically what she said is, look, there's always fraud. This is no big deal. Fraud. And this is the person who wants to be the Democrat nominee for the Senate in Texas. She's a complete reprobate. Complete reprobate. Now, we discussed this community in Minneapolis with you yesterday from a tremendous author who's lived in that community. He's lived in Somalia, Mogadishu. And what's been taking place is horrendous. And, of course, the Democrats aren't going to do a damn thing about it. They're never going to do a damn thing about any of this stuff, America. They don't care. They don't care how much money is spent. They just don't care. Now, here we have Breitbart, Minnesota, nearly every Somali household with a child is on welfare. We talked about that yesterday. It's like 9 out of 10. Well, it's not supposed to work that way, is it? No, it's not supposed to work that way. I want to get into this a little bit with you. I want to get into a piece I saw at the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs, the Islamification of Western Democracies. And they point out, Eliyahu Haddad, America has perhaps 20 years to decide whether to follow Europe into civilization replacement or to implement the politically difficult but mathematically necessary policies to prevent it. I want you to think about that. I don't think we have 20 years. I think it's here now. I think we have 5 or 10 years max. Islamic expansion once required 500 years of military conquest to achieve what is now happening in just over the past 50 years through immigration, welfare policies, and mathematical inevitability. Europe's Muslim population has surged from less than 1% in 1970 to a projected 10 to 14% by 2050, a transformation occurring 2 to 3 times faster than historical Islamic conquests. And the impact of it, ladies and gentlemen, in particular, is the concentration of these individuals as they come into the West. So they're not spread out. They are concentrated where they have maximum impact. They write Western civilization is being replaced, not conquered, by committing demographic suicide through its own democratic processes and ideological paralysis, acute passivity, naivete. The greatest takeover in history is silent, not because it's invisible or surreptitious. The changes are obvious, but because Western societies have, by their own hands, criminalized any discussion of it. You see what happens in Britain, right? They arrest people for talking about this. This transformation operates through physical replacement via demographics and ideological conquest through information warfare. Physical replacement requires no conquest, only open borders, welfare incentives, family reunification policies, refugee obligations, and a fertility differential guaranteeing Muslim demographic growth while native European populations collapse below replacement. That's why this battle over birthright citizenship is so important. Ideological conquest has weaponized social media and digital propaganda. Again, this is the Carlson world, Tucker Carlson, bragging about Qatar, and Qatar is spending a fortune doing this. And this is why we'll post it again later on. I spent a full hour discussing this the other day about the ruling class, the imperial ruling class, and how they are benefiting, how they're getting rich and powerful and influential at the cost of you, Mr. and Mrs. America. That's Carlson. That's Neil Patel. That's many of these billionaires who apparently don't have enough. Ideological conquest has weaponized social media and digital propaganda at unprecedented scale. State actors, primarily Iran, Qatar, and Turkey. We better not let Turkey into Gaza. I'll tell you, I'll be jumping up and down. Invest billions in bot networks. You can see it, by the way, on my Twitter account, the bot networks at work in the comment sections. You just look at it. It's massive and it's relentless, but it doesn't stop me. It doesn't intimidate me. We power on. Influencer campaigns, media empires amplifying pro-Islamic and anti-Israel narratives while recruiting Western progressives to Islamist causes, not just Western progressives. Tucker Carlson and his ilk. The Muslim Brotherhood, founded in 1928 to establish a caliphate based on Islamic supremacy, operates through seemingly independent but deeply connected channels. Who's the biggest funder of the Muslim Brotherhood? Qatar. Through patient extremism, Brotherhood branches present violence and jihad as resistance. Excuse me. Casting genocidal vows to exterminate Jews from the river to the sea as anti-colonialism, enhancing appeal to the progressive left by spinning terrorism as resistance and anti-colonialism. These jihadist groups recruit leftists to accelerate Western ideological dismantling. Alarmingly, this extends beyond activists to governing officials worldwide, mainstreaming replacement as acceptable democratic policy. And again, it's not just the Marxist left, it's the neo-fascist right. Islamification has had dramatic repercussions on Israel's security, and I would add ours in the United States. Despite the tragedy of October 7 and the irrefutable evidence that Hamas perpetrated an unprecedented massacre on Israeli soil, the narrative that gained the most traction was that Israel is a genocidal occupier, with apartheid oppression of innocent Palestinians, and through unprecedented social media subversion funded by over $1 billion by jihadist state actors and Brotherhood-built influence infrastructure, the Islamist world succeeded in taking control of the narrative. When Jordan's Islamic Action Front won parliamentary plurality in September 2024, with supporters chanting, "All of Jordan is Hamas," only to be exposed 7 months later planning coordinated terror attacks, including rocket production and weapons stockpiling, it demonstrated Muslim Brotherhood tactical flexibility, professing moderation while preparing violence, participating in democracy while plotting its overthrow. This is Qatar. This is Qatar that I keep warning the world about, that I've been warning the world about for years. Europe faces multiple flashpoints in Britain, Sweden, and Germany, where failed integration policies, economic marginalization, cultural provocations, and rising extremism create recurring cycles of violence, resulting in fear for policymakers to act without concern of massive anarchistic reprisals, especially in matters involving Israel. From 2013 to 23, the number of sexual violence offenses, including rape, is recorded by police in the European Union has shown a steady increase, reaching a 79.2% increase in 2023 as compared with 2013. I cannot believe the toleration for this. The increase in these crimes is rooted in deep cultural differences, such as the devaluation of non-Muslim women by the perpetrators. In Germany, Muslim Brotherhood-affiliated Muslim Interactive marched through Hamburg in April 2024, demanding Germany become an Islamic state governed by Sharia. Sweden accepted more asylum seekers per capita than any European nation between 2010 and 2020. The city of Malmö, which is now over 30% Muslim immigration population, transformed from a prosperous industrial center to what Swedish police designated a particularly vulnerable area, official terminology for neighborhoods where criminal networks exercise de facto control. Because of Islamification, France has needed to adapt its policymaking. In June and July 2023, following the police shooting of Nahal Mezak, 45,000 police needed to be deployed to control the riots that ensued, resulting in over $1 billion, or euros rather, of damage. President Macron announced plans to integrate Islam into French mainstream culture. It's the other way around, you moron. In Britain, during the summer of 2024, thousands marched through London chanting genocidal threats against Jews. British Muslim voters constitute decisive electoral blocs in dozens of constituencies. According to March 2024 polling, 32% of British Muslims favor Sharia law implementation. 48% are sympathetic to Hamas. 80% believes Israel commits genocide. 49% think Israel has no right to exist. 46% think Jews in the UK have too much power. Canada has experienced the most significant proportional growth, with its Muslim population percentage increasing by 145% from 2000 to 2025. More when I return.
Mark Levin.
And all the time I've been endorsing Pure Talk, my wireless company, I can honestly say I've never seen an offer like this from them. Listen to this. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data with a 30-gig hotspot. Just $29.95 a month for life. Friends, this is Pure Talk's top-tier plan, normally $65 a month, now through December 14th. Just $29.95 a month. You're saving over 50% a month every month for the rest of your life. Yes, that's on their crazy fast 5G network, but this offer is extremely short-lived. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's Levin for Pure Talk's best unlimited plan. Just $29.95 a month for life. Make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Keep your phone, keep your number, and start saving with unlimited for life for just $29.95 a month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my wireless company, Pure Talk. Taxes and fees not included. Some restrictions apply. You can see puretalk.com for details. Offer ends December 14, 2025. Folks, don't miss this. How much time, Richie? 1 minute. That's not enough time to do anything much. But here's Alex Padilla on a podcast yesterday. He's another Democrat. Cut 8, go.
Of course, we need a secure, orderly, humane border. Nobody disagrees with that. And even to the Trump language, right? Those dangerous, violent criminals. There's no disagreement. If that was the only group of folks.
Then why do you mock it? Why do you use that tone of voice? What exactly has the Democrat Party done to help protect this nation, secure the border, remove criminal illegal aliens? What exactly has the Democrat Party done in the 4 years where they controlled everything? They nearly destroyed the country, and they would have gotten away with it but for Donald Trump winning election and but for you voting the right way. Let's not play games about this. The sirens are going off. The flashing lights are everywhere. The pots and pans are being banged. We, Americans, have an opportunity to fix this. It will be very daunting and complicated, but we either fix it or it's over. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. Hello, 877-381-3811. You know, it's obnoxious, the Democrats talking about affordability and criticizing this president. This president's doing everything a president can do, and it will pay off. It will bear fruit. It just takes a little bit of time, as it did with Reagan. And boy, when the economy exploded with growth and prosperity and wealth creation and jobs and all the rest of it, it was massive. And this president has put in place a very similar program. And he's doing everything possible. But the Democrats are not. They drove up inflation. They drove up the debt. They brought in tens of millions of illegal aliens, taking people's jobs, driving up the cost of the massive welfare state. They took so much land and offshore production out of production for oil and natural gas. I mean, they are the degrowth movement. Remember, they were the climate change movement. You don't even hear about it anymore. But they used all of that and more to basically destroy our capitalist system, certainly in the short term. Even the automobile industry with electric vehicles, they were forcing CAFE standards that were going to destroy the automobile industry. Trump has reversed all that. They drove up the price of lumber with their policies when it came to forests. And they were drying up the ability for our people in agriculture, farmers, ranchers, others, to get access to water. I mean, everywhere you turn, the radicals were in charge. And so they were driving up prices, food prices, energy prices, housing prices, all prices. And so the president inherits this, and he's attacking it. He's trying to defeat it. Not just one at a time, all at the same time. And the economy is very big, so sometimes it takes some time for things to resonate, changes in direction and so forth. But it's taking place. So it's really quite precious when you hear the Democrats going on, isn't it? About affordability and the price of this and the price of that, when they're the ones that created this situation. Remember, what they inherited from Donald Trump was a fantastic economy, even given the pandemic. They immediately moved to impose their ideological agenda, their degrowth agenda, their socialist agenda. And it's really quite remarkable in less than a year what Donald Trump has done and is doing, including bringing in enormous sums of money into our country to help rebuild our infrastructure, to help rebuild our industries and so forth. I mean, he's so far ahead of what the Democrats were doing. And yet they keep whining. They keep whining. Caroline Levitt at the White House press conference today on this issue of affordability. Cut 12, go.
I would remind you, when President Trump left office in his first term, inflation was 1.7%, and the previous administration jacked it up to a record high 9%. So again, in 10 months, the president has clawed us out of this hole. He's kept it low at 2.5%, and we believe that number is going to continue to decline, especially as energy and oil prices continue to decline as well.
It wasn't high under Biden. They're just saying it's not.
Well, nobody reported on it being high under Biden. My predecessor was standing at this podium, but now you want to ask me a lot of questions about it, which I'm happy to answer, but I will just add there's a lot more scrutiny on this issue from this press corps than there was. Well, in the previous administration said that too. My predecessor stood up at this podium and she said inflation doesn't exist. She said the border was secure, and people like you just took her at her word, and those were two utter lies. Everything I'm telling you is the truth, backed by real factual data, and you just don't want to report on it because you want to push untrue narratives about the president. Go ahead. I'm not going to take your follow-up. Go ahead.
Really unbelievable. They're a gaggle of jackals. They really are. Now, it's been in the paper today and been in the news today, so you know that the United States military, our Navy, took a Venezuelan freighter, an oil ship, and captured it. The president's putting the squeeze on Maduro because Maduro has declared war on us in his own way, working with the Iranians, the Chinese, the Russians, and the Cubans. This is about drugs for sure, but even more than drugs. He's allowed them to use his country as an intelligence center, in some ways a military center in our hemisphere against our country, against you and me, Mr. and Mrs. America. And what he's doing is actually brilliant. Remember the incredibly failed efforts of John Kennedy to deal with Cuba. I think if Donald Trump had been president, or Reagan for that matter, Cuba would not have gone communist. It wouldn't have stayed communist, that's for sure. That's for sure. So, Peter Ducey, here's a question for Caroline Levitt. Cut 13, go.
Would he use this seized Venezuelan oil to try to help Americans with affordability here in the United States?
Well, what I can tell you right now, the vessel has been seized, as you know, and the Department of Justice did that in conjunction with the Coast Guard and the Department of War. The vessel is currently undergoing a forfeiture process right now. The United States currently has a full investigative team on the ground on the vessel, and individuals on board the vessel are being interviewed, and any relevant evidence is being seized. With respect to the oil, that's a different issue, as you know, Peter. The vessel will go to a U.S. port, and the United States does intend to seize the oil. However, there is a legal process for the seizure of that oil, and that legal process will be followed.
Yeah, and I mean, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter what it's used for because it's one ship with oil, obviously. But the fact of the matter is the pressure's on, the economic pressure's on, and you can see the isolationists, by the way, the neo-fascist isolationists, you know who they are. We've talked about them today and over and over. Have you noticed, Mr. Producer, that they're silent about this for the most part? Carlson's quiet. Bloated Bannon hasn't said a thing. No Pants Gates, not a word. Nothing. Nothing. Should we tell them Israel's involved? Oh, wow. Even though it's not, then you'll see a big response. Maxine Waters to me sounds like she's not all with it. I'm just being honest with you. She sounds like she's not all with it. Now, she never was all with it, but you get my point. I don't believe age has served her very well. You're just bombing people and killing people. No, that's what the Venezuelans are doing to our people, killing them with drugs. The president's trying to defend the American people, especially young people in this country, from dying from drugs. And one of the ways he's doing it to tackle a piece of this is to deal with Venezuela. That's very important. And all he is hassled. And they want Hegseth's head. Cut 14, go.
He is basically killing and bombing boats, claiming that these people are involved with drug trafficking without evidence, without proof.
That's not true, you liar. Without evidence? There's plenty of evidence. And I'm sure they've already shared some of it, at least, with the relevant committees of Congress. But they're picking up information. They're using satellites. They're using other methodologies to listen in on conversations. I'm sure they're using the whole panoply of tools that our military and intelligence services have to know what's going on. Bunch of speedboats with, these drug packages, and this moron's, hey, no evidence, no evidence. Go ahead.
Of the United States to talk about.
All right, thank you, and shut up. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Now, Sharia law. I'm not going to stop at this. I'm not. I am not. And you've heard Governor Abbey, you've heard him on this program, talk about efforts to push Sharia law in Texas. This birthright citizenship decision by the Supreme Court, there's a lot riding on this. And by the way, Saturday night on Life, Liberty, and Levin, we have Hans von Spakovsky, the number one expert on this, next to me, of course, but we're both experts on it, and the great Senator Ted Cruz, Mr. Conservative of the Senate. I noticed the neo-fascists hate him because he has the moral principles and guts to stand up to them, which few do. He's absolutely terrific. And he will be on the program, too, on Saturday, so I hope you'll set your DVR, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to have a fantastic show on Sunday, too, including the president of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn. I want to talk about the 250th anniversary. And I want to start with him on the Declaration of Independence, what it means. Why did they even issue a Declaration of Independence? They didn't have to. What was that all about? There is nobody, and I mean nobody, who knows more about that than him. So that should be a whole lot of fun. By Eli Crane, Republican of Arizona, at a hearing today. We have people in our country now who are demanding Sharia law over the Constitution. We brought them into our country, the Democrats. How dare they criticize Kristi Noem? How dare they attack her? How dare they attack our president? This is sick. Cut 15, go.
Should Sharia law be over the U.S. Constitution?
Yes. U.S. Constitution, which is made by people, and the Sharia law is made by Allah. So that is all the way above. That has to be definitely in the land, not for the America, for the whole world would be above.
So that should be above the U.S. Constitution?
Yes.
Do you feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law. I'm a Muslim. I prefer Sharia law. Sharia law, yes.
You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah.
They always can come with the same accusations. This speaker supports death penalty for homosexuals. This speaker supports death penalty for this crime or that he is homophobic. These are general views that every Muslim actually has. Every Muslim believes in these things.
If the law of the land is Islamic, we will respect the law of the land.
What if it's not Islamic?
If it's not Islamic, then the law of the land and those who make it can go to hell, honestly, because Allah said in the Quran, in chapter 33, verse 1, He said, O Prophet, fear Allah and do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites.
So Eli Crane plays this at a hearing. Folks, we need to spread the word about this. This is no joke. So when Tarleton says, Sharia law, what's so bad about it? You can have a Lamborghini and have your key in there, nobody's going to steal it. This is no joke. Trashing Christianity, trashing Judaism, claiming there is no Judeo-Christian value system that undergirds the United States of America, which is a complete lie. You know, pimping for Qatar. This is Qatar. This is what Qatar believes. This is what Qatar is spreading throughout the Western world, especially in the United States. I don't care how much money they give us, quote unquote, although I'm waiting to see. All the money in the world is not enough to destroy our country. And the American people aren't benefiting from any of this. We're suffering from this, and we certainly will in the future. The ruling class is getting rich. The elitists are getting rich. You folks who listen to this program, who work for a living, who have to work every day to pay your mortgage and put food on the table, who didn't go to Tony private schools, who didn't inherit millions and millions of dollars, who aren't doing business in the Middle East, you're going to pay the price for this. You paid the price for what's going on in Minnesota. The whole country has. But this is a challenge to our basic law, the Constitution of the United States. Nobody says, who's Jewish or Christian, that the Bible replaces the Constitution as our governing document. It may be, in fact, your most important document when it comes to your life, your way of life, your faith. Of course. But when it comes to actually governing our country, the civil society, the Constitution is what we rely on. And it's the Constitution, including in the First Amendment, that ensures that you can practice your faith without being molested by the government. I mean, the genius of the whole setup of this nation that doesn't exist in any other place on the face of the earth and never has is just to succumb to Sharia law because they say Sharia law is the law and then everybody has to comply. What is that? Again, Zuhdi Jasser doesn't believe that. You know, I just want to make it clear. You know, when I talk about Islamism, that is the word that the jihadis have given themselves, okay? And their belief system. I haven't created it. But it's funny. When you think of Indonesia, which I believe is the biggest Muslim population on the face of the earth, they're not a threat to America. They're not a threat to the Western world because their government there, which I believe is Sharia, but also other aspects of governance, their goal isn't to conquer the West. So, of course, that nation in many respects is an ally. It's a trading partner. We get along with Indonesia beautifully. And it's not the only Muslim country we get along with. Morocco's another one we get along with beautifully. Beautifully. Morocco. And there are others. But there are people in our country. They don't talk about Indonesia, Morocco, and some of these other countries with massive Muslim populations. No. They're promoting Qatar, the biggest funder of terrorism, that wants to overthrow the West, that spends billions to brainwash our kids in our colleges and universities, that funds the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and Islamic Jihad, supports the Taliban, and on and on and on. That's not Indonesia. That's not Morocco and some of these other Muslim countries. So let's be clear. What I'm talking about is the infiltration within our country through open borders and the Democrats. And you see some of these people on TV. You see some of them with their own podcasts who are the radical Islamists. And they defend them. And they defend them. And they regurgitate their propaganda. Yeah. I believe it was the president of Indonesia who said, look, we'll send 25,000 troops or so to help in Gaza and so forth and so on. Nobody objected. I don't know that they're actually going to do it. In fact, it's a great idea. But the Turks under Erdogan, who is a radical, vile, Jihadi Islamists? No damn way. I'll be right back.
Cat got your tongue? Cough up a fur ball and call 877-381-3811 right now for Mark Levin.
I have a great wife. I really do. Smart as hell. Beautiful. Always worries about me. Seriously. Very lucky. Very, very lucky. Are you lucky, Mr. Producer? He is as well. But I really mean it. Let's take some calls. Let's go to Jeff, Albion, Minnesota, on the Mark Levin app. Jeff, how are you, sir?
Albion, Maine, the dead-end state.
Maine, I apologize. They have Minnesota here.
Mr. Levin, my professor of the Constitution law, what an honor to speak with you, sir.
It's my honor. Thank you, brother.
So I impersonate two founding fathers. One is Jacob Broom, and the other is Charles Thompson.
So you know who they are.
And I chose them because people hardly know who they are. And to demonstrate that, speaking as Jacob Broom, I spoke with two brothers from Delaware. And they grew up on Broom Street and had no idea it was named after Jacob Broom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But two dynamic things. Jacob Broom never missed a session, like you said, in the Constitution Convention. And on the portrait of the convention, he's one of the two that's blurred out because the artist didn't know who he was. He hardly spoke. There's no records of it except for one. In the middle of July, in the third week, they came to their second impasse of not getting anything done because how do we represent good state, big state from little one, and big federal government or little federal government. And so there was a motion on the floor. And the motion was to disband the Constitution Convention and go back to the states and find out what's next. When this man, who hardly ever spoke, and he stood up and he gave one short, passionate speech, and the motion was defeated and they met the next day, which goes to show what is it that people can't do. Mm-hmm. They can do anything. Mm-hmm. And the second one is Charles Thompson. When he retired, he was Secretary of the First and Second Continental Congress for 15 years. He pretty much ran the government, went all in session, and he's the one who recorded all of the notes of everything that happened. And he kept those notes. And when he retired, he transcribed the Septuagint into modern-day English, published in 1808. And then he said, what's next? I want to put a book together, volumes, of all of the writings of the 15 years. And when he went through it, he was disheartened because there was so much fighting on the floor. In fact, he was in a duel with Keynes and got a scar on his face because of it. And he decided he didn't want all the history of the families to see what went on the floor, and he burnt all those papers. All the intent is gone.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. So what do? Are you just, is this a hobby of yours?
Yeah, I just impersonate these two characters and go through schools and public events, history societies, churches. Yeah. It's a passion.
You know,
it's not my job.
You're a great patriot. Must be cold up there right now in Maine. It's cold down here in Virginia.
Wind chill below zero right now.
Crazy.
It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you from Maine originally?
Amazing stories that I have on and on about how much people don't know. People don't engage me. The fifth graders engage me, no problem. Mm-hmm. But most adults sit and look at me as I'm on a TV program, and they don't engage me. They don't know how to ask questions. It's a shame.
And this is a huge problem because the more people understand our history, the more I think they're going to really be motivated by it. Instead, we get these crazy conspiracy theories and Sharia law and America sucks. And these are by so-called MAGA. They're fake MAGA, but it drives me crazy. And I want to thank you for your beautiful, beautiful call. You take care. That was very kind of you. I really appreciate that. That was a great caller there. Absolutely great caller. All right. Meanwhile, I lost my list here. Hold on. So that was Jeff from Maine. Let us go to Mark, Cleveland, Ohio, on XM Satellite. Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I've been listening to you for almost 30 years, since I was a little kid, and you would fill in for Rush Limbaugh.
Thank you.
With my dad, so it's pretty cool to talk to you.
Thank you.
So the reason I was calling in earlier, you were discussing like Nick Fuentes and the demographic of people that follow him and Tucker. And, you know, I'm a 40-year-old man, and I started growing up in the, I call it the white guilt era. And they would push in schools, you know, how being a white male in America is a shameful thing, and all the horrible things we did to found and build our country. And I think it's starting to come to a culmination now where our country just hands out money to everyone else in the world. And as a white American male, I'm told to shut my mouth. And, you know.
Well, let me ask you about that. Who's telling you to shut your mouth?
I mean, if you watch the mainstream media,
Who gives a damn about them? I open my mouth every damn day, you know.
And trust me, I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of younger people have been force-fed that through school and been indoctrinated from the beginning of, and, you know, not everybody's strong enough to stand up to that.
Right, true.
And I feel like it's turning into something like you see now with the Minnesota Somali problem. They're running around and bragging. And I don't know if you're into Instagram, but there's a woman in Columbus that has been kind of documenting the Somali issue in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are running around bragging, showing money and iPhones and to people. And this is like a lower income class neighborhoods.
But here's what's bugging me. Here's what's bugging me, Mark. When you mentioned Fuentes and Carlson. Carlson he's buying into this Sharia stuff. He's buying into Qatar. He's trashing evangelical Christians. He's trashing Jews, mostly Orthodox Jews. That's not helpful. He is, on the one hand, talking about people as you are, but then on the other hand, he's grifting with the people who you're also talking about, who come from a different sort of sense of ideas and so forth. So this is the problem, and this is why when I was talking to Jeff from Maine, I feel like we need to talk about our history. We need to talk about who we are. We need to be proud of it. We need to be very proud of who we are as Americans, instead of these influences that are diabolical in many respects, and that are conquering towns and states and seek to conquer our country and our culture. And it's unhelpful. It's worse. It is contributory to that mentality when these people spend time raising conspiracy theories involving Charlie Kirk's death, when they start attacking constitutional conservatives like Ted Cruz and others, when they're talking about how, you know, it's better to live in places like Qatar where you can have a Lamborghini and put the key in the car and it's not so, and going on like that. They're not talking the way you came on this show and spoke. They're giving aid and comfort to this other mentality. This is my problem with these people. You see what I'm saying?
I feel they're disassociated with what's happening, you know? Like, I'm 40. I can't imagine to be a 23-year-old kid now thinking about trying to purchase a house on a 50-year mortgage while I watch our government hand out money to everyone else. I just don't think that the people that are in control have any clue of what's happening in our own country. And I think that these people like Carlson and Fuentes are taking advantage of that to skew it to them. I believe Nick Fuentes is a controlled opposition. I don't think that he pleads the fifth that he won't tell where his money comes from. That just shows to me that he's a fraud, I believe.
Right. You know what, Mark? You're a good man. Call back again. I enjoy listening to you. Appreciate that. All right. We have a great audience here. Great audience, great callers. I'm very, very proud of you folks. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I do want to
to make sure that I cover one other thing that the chairman spoke about. He specifically said that he's concerned about the fraud. He's not giving us numbers, but I can give you some numbers. If we're concerned about how much money it may be costing us because systems are not perfect, we have no perfect systems. We have always had some level of fraud in anything.
We're not talking about systems here. We're talking about a culture here. You see how this is broomed over? You see how they broad brush this thing? She doesn't even care about fraud. She could care less. Go ahead.
Such thing as perfection walking on this earth.
Nobody talked about perfection walking on this earth. Nobody expects perfection to walk on this earth. Go ahead. She's a disgrace. But the more she talks, the better the Republicans will be. No question about that. Best thing that ever happened to the Republican Party in Texas is for her to get the nomination. Let's take some more calls. Let us go to Esther, Brooklyn, New York, the great WABC. Esther, how are you?
I really want to cry. That's what I really want to do.
Uh-oh. Don't cry. Speak to me.
All right. Well, I heard your audio about Madam Danny willing to be arrested by federal authorities if he interferes with ICE operations. So I want to know if there's anything I can do to speed along that process.
That's very good. Well, let's just hope that ICE shows up and he gets arrested. I'm with you,
Well,
kid.
let me just say this. According to New York State election law, anyone with a felony is barred from political office.
Is that from running for political office or remaining in political office?
Serving, both. They have to be removed.
Wow. Look at you.
But if you think that Latuchas James is going to remove Ma'am Danny, I don't think she will.
Yeah, but if we get Elise Stefanik in there, maybe she can have a role. I see this guy, the guy from Long Island's running. I'm sure he's a great guy, but I can't support him. I support Elise Stefanik.
I'm just curious why you don't support him, because I've heard the opposite.
Well, because I think she's fantastic. That's why. I don't know anything about him. He may be great, but I know she's fantastic.
Because Sid Rosenberg right now is in favor of both. He's taking a neutral
Well, I
position.
can't be in favor of both. I pick one over the other, you know. I love Sid. He's like Sid and I are so close, it's not even funny. We're like brothers now. It's unbelievable. I love that guy. Love him. But look, you know, I have to agree on everything. I support Elise Stefanik. It's that simple.
Okay.
But Sid lives in New York. You know, does he live on Long Island? Maybe he does.
Yes, he does. He lives in Nassau County. I just don't know where he lives.
Okay,
exactly.
well, I don't live in New York, but I started in New York. I feel like, in many ways, a New Yorker. But just from my perspective, she would be a fantastic governor. She just would. All right, Esther. I love your... I love that. Make sure you mention it to Sid, too. That is, if this guy's arrested and it's for a felony charge and he's convicted, you're saying he has to get out.
Yes.
If that's the rule there, then let the sucker do what he says he's going to do. Good job, Esther. Oh, yeah. We only have 30 seconds left. I'm sorry. We got a full board. We got a lot of great callers. We'll get to you tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, and you, the American people. Thank God for you, red-blooded Americans. America's the greatest country on the face of the earth. Don't let some grifter who promotes Qatar tell you otherwise. See you tomorrow.